This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to Locked On Bets here on this Wednesday, July 23rd. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. As always, we thank you for making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And Lee Sterling is live in Charlotte, North Carolina. The good news is we're both wearing the same shirt, so it's kind of like the old days on CBS Sports. They wore those blue blazers with the CBS patch, just like what we look like right now. So, Lee, good to see you again. Jack Bond did a great job yesterday. We'll review our picks. But how's everything going in Charlotte?
Oh, it's been great. Actually, I'm a little surprised that it's hopping here. So I expected maybe 15, 20 stations. There's over 30 stations here, radio stations, a lot of podcasts. And with the SEC, I wouldn't say they're down, but with the ACC having some really good quarterbacks and some established coaches and some teams, like SMU that surprised last year, a lot of buzz. So,
yeah, and we'll talk more about that coming up. NC State, we'll look at the Wolfpack coming up in just a little bit and get some of Lee's impressions of ACC Media Days so far. But first, let's begin in Major League Baseball.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
I don't know who woke up the Cleveland Guardians of late, but they played well, beating the Orioles a few times. They took 2 of 3 from the Athletics this past weekend, turning things around, starting to come together, Pepper, starting to come together in Cleveland. So we'll see if it starts or if it continues again for a sweep against Baltimore. So, Lee, what do you like with the Guardians and the Orioles later on?
What was the name of their mascot in the movie? He used to sit in the outfield and beat the drum.
I don't know what the name of the mascot. It was just the guys that were. It was that group that came up with Wild Thing.
Yeah, I love it. So they're an under the radar team. No one buys their merchandise. I mean, you see someone walk around with a Guardian hat, they're from Cleveland. It's not like New York. Everyone's a Yankees fan. You see, I was just in New York and you see yellow hats, pink hats, green New York Yankees hats. I mean, come on, just at least buy the colors, but. The Guardians are playing well. And who do they face here? They're going to be facing a Baltimore team that's got some problems. Baltimore's bullpen, 11 innings over the last 3 games. In fact, their top 2 leverage guys went last night. So I think that's a problem for him here. Baltimore injuries piling up. Rashman, Mateo, and also Mountcastle all out. So it's a lineup here that's diminished. Zach Eflin here, his numbers are misleading. 5.95 ERA, but his expected ERA is 4.26. One problem, though. Lefties are crushing Zach Eflin. 3.47 batting average he's given up, which is horrific. 7.14 slugging percentage, and 14 of his 16 home runs have been given up to lefties. Why is that important? Well, Cleveland is projected to start all 9 lefty batters. You don't see that too often here. So I think Cleveland's going to win the series. I think the price is short here at money line -125. Let's go with a blowout special. Cleveland Guardians here over the Baltimore Orioles.
And yesterday, Lee, in your absence, Jack Bond was here, and he swept the board with his 3 baseball plays. I was the only loser in the WNBA, but first look at the baseball. He had the Marlins over the Padres. Also, Phillies Red Sox under was 4-1 through 5, ended up being a 4-1 final. And Christopher Sanchez, who's kind of the forgotten man in the Cy Young race in the National League, had 12 strikeouts in a complete game for Philadelphia. So that one cashed, and Rafael Devers went over his total bases prop as the Giants beat the Braves. So 3-0 there, which is good news. So Jack came on and brought the broom out.
He is the ultimate pitch hitter going back in time. Manny Mota was one of the first pitch hitters. He's one of those guys. And interesting story how I found Jack. So my now son-in-law was in law school, and he was telling me about this kid who sits in class, and he's a savant, doesn't pay attention to class, and he's doing basketball and hockey. He's doing algorithms on his computer, running all kinds of stuff, and he tell me how good he is, and I tracked him for a year, and I'm like, this guy's the real deal, so I made him offer. He's an attorney in Nashville and also works for Paramount Sports. So I just got to keep it. The problem here is Saturday nights. Jack has a lot of trouble Saturday night making it in to Sunday into our conference call to talk about which games we're going to release. So if we could just tone down Jack on Saturday nights, he'd win Employee of the Month every single month. But Jack's certainly a key addition to Paramount Sports, and I know people love when he comes on and pitch hits for me.
Yeah, so 3-0 for him. We lost in the Dallas Wings last night in the first quarter, and unfortunately, Dallas ended up winning the game. They blew out Seattle, but I had the first quarter play on it. And the worst part about it, Lee, and we had talked about this before the show, the Seattle Storm last night shot 1 of 7 from three-point range in the first quarter and still ended up covering the first quarter. They were laying 2 and they won 19-15. So it's kind of unfortunate. Got out to a hot start. Dallas could never just get within that 2-point threshold. But I wanted to talk to you about this, and this is not WNBA specific, just in general. I'm not relying everything on trends, but in that game last night, Dallas had gone 9-1 ATS this season, first quarter of a dog of 2 points or more. Seattle had been terrible as a home favorite. They had 7 of their previous 9 games. They didn't lead after the first at home after 1. When do you get to a point in just any sport when, I mean, not necessarily trends, but as far as just regression, when do you say, okay, this is going to stop at this point?
I use all the tools that are available to me. So if it backs up what I'm seeing and the matchups, and maybe, take into effect, obviously, travel and things like that, then it's a tool. But to use it blindly, I think, is a huge mistake. You see handicappers come on and say all the time, oh, this team is 10-1 in this spot. But let me tell you something. You have to know the teams. You have to know the matchups. And, there's some coaches, like Nick Saban, one of the greatest coaches of all time. But if he's facing an ex-coach and he liked that coach, let's say they're playing Louisiana Monroe, and he's laying 35, and you're like, oh, 35 points? I mean, they'll win 58-0. Well, early third quarter, he's taking the starters out. He's not going to be throwing the ball left and right. So in every single sport, football, you have to know the coaches. You have to know the players. You have to know the travel. Baseball, you have to know, what's going on with the weather. Is the wind blowing out? You have to know is a pitcher pitching, based on short rest, or there's some guys still coming off the All-Star game just now making their first start. So take everything into account. If it backs up what you're seeing, then it can be a tool, make it a stronger play. Sometimes, if I like something and I see that, I back off just a little bit, but it's just one of the many tools that's out there for handicappers.
We have a couple hidden gems coming up in the next segment, Lee. We'll look at tonight's WNBA matchup, the only one, the late night game, the Dream and the Mercury in Phoenix. Also, we'll go to college football. NC State, we'll see what the Wolfpack does this year. Also, we have a prop on Chris Bassitt and the Blue Jays. We'll talk about that. All of it straight ahead right here on Locked On Bets. Tell you now about Monarch Money, and Monarch Money, always love discussing them. You know why? Because you ever wish that managing money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Stick to your budget with these tools. Monarch Money has a flex budget system allowing you to save for big goals. Also, you can modify your groups and categories that suit you at Monarch Money. And you can use flex budgeting when expenses change from month to month, or when you have fixed budgeting on expected expenses. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. We continue here, Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. And now let's go to the lone WNBA game of the night.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
We're going to go, Lee, with a total tonight in the first quarter of the WNBA. I'd like to go in and out, get it done quickly. Atlanta Phoenix under 40.5. And a couple reasons why. First off, the Dream, they are playing with no rest tonight off of a loss at Las Vegas last night. Atlanta got off to a really good start. They led Vegas after the first quarter. I want to throw this one out to you, Lee. The team with the best record in the first quarter in the WNBA this season, you guessed it, the Atlanta Dream, as they are 16-7 so far in the first quarter, including 9-3 on the road. But we're not going to take the side. We're going to take the total here. Phoenix will get some of its stars back tonight, including their top player, Satu Sabali. She was out the last few games before the All-Star break, so they're going to get her back in, and a couple of their other key players. So we'll see how they ease them back in here in this first game. Also, Phoenix, in their last 12 home games, 10 times they've allowed 20 points or less in the first quarter. So they've been pretty good defensively. Atlanta, I don't expect this to keep up. Last 4 games in the first quarter, they've averaged nearly 25 points. In the opening quarter. I don't expect that to keep up. They had 27 last night against the Aces. The Dream shooting just 29% from three-point range in the first quarter. And, Lee, want to give you this number. Past the Indiana Fever, who are number 1 in this category, Atlanta and Phoenix ranked 2 and 3 in free throws allowed in the first quarter as far as fewest free throws allowed. Phoenix doesn't foul very much, especially at home. So I believe we will see an under of 40.5 here in the first quarter between the Dream and the Mercury.
Okay. I'll roll with it. And I don't think we're going to have our team shoot 1 for 7 like they did last time and lose last night. So I think you're due for a few breaks here, and let's root for some defense.
So when you're in Charlotte tonight, you can't get to sleep. You're going to head to a sports bar and watch this just to kind of wind you down.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's why you got to have all the different packages. My wife's always asking me, she goes, what's this charge? What's that charge, honey? I'm like, don't worry about it. You got to do what you got to do. You got to pay for, to follow all these hopefully winners.
All right. So the ACC, you are at ACC media days because there's so many teams in the conference, and we'll get to NC State in just a moment, but just first, your impressions of what you've seen, in your time there in Charlotte.
Well, I love Charlotte. Beautiful city, the Queen City, they call it, and a lot of optimism. I mean, a lot of people make fun of the ACC. Last year, obviously, Miami came close to getting in. All they need to do is beat Syracuse. SMU gets in, and I think they threw like 2 interceptions right off the bat, like 4, maybe even in the first half, and got blown out by Penn State 38-10. And then Clemson lost to Texas. But I think better days ahead. They have a bunch of experienced quarterbacks. Starts at the top. Cade Klubnik for Clemson. You got Miami. You got Carson Beck transferring from Georgia, who the year before, Kevin, a lot of people don't realize this. Everyone knows where he fell to, probably a 3rd-round pick if he would have come out last year. But he was the projected number 1 overall quarterback if he had continued on that trend after the year when they won the championship. His receivers were horrific. I just think that he lost confidence in them. And I'm not saying his receivers at Miami are going to be anything close to last year, but you have a running game and playing different level defenses, I think, with a good offensive coordinator. And I think Miami's going to be right there. And then, SMU is just reloading. I think SMU, maybe my most overrated team is going to be SMU. They lost a couple key running backs, a couple key receivers, and defensive line that was loaded that kept them in almost every game. They were getting sack after sack in key situations, except for that playoff game. So I would say there's more excitement than normal at the ACC media days. Miller Moss is transferred in from USC. I mean, the list goes on. And one of the teams that we're going to talk about today is another returning starter. And that's important. The SEC might have better top to bottom talent and more draftable prospects. But for a league that has 17 teams, there's still going to be a lot of players from the ACC playing at the next level come next year.
All right, let's now take a look at our second hidden gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
And North Carolina State, the Wolfpack. We're going to look at them today. I can't believe this, Lee. Dave Doran's been there 13 years now. He's entering his 13th season as the head coach of the Wolfpack. Like that, I would have felt like somewhere down the line they would have made a change, but I can't believe he's been there that long.
I thought it was like 8, 9, maybe 10 years. So I was shocked too. But time flies when you're mediocre, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They really have not done anything great. But how about this? In the last 10 years, they've had one losing season where they were horrific against the spread. It was 2019. They went 4-8 overall, 2-9-1 against the spread. Now, people are off them because last year they lost their bowl game. And they lost that game to East Carolina. So people are, you know, once you lose a bowl game to a lower level team, you just fall off their radar. Just the way the public is. There's a lot of teams that lost their bowl game. They're going to be much better. And they're one of those teams. After having a losing record, Dave Doran, the last time was 2019, 4-8, 2-9-1 against the spread. What did he do the next year? 8-4 straight up and 8-4 against the spread. The win total is 6.5. He has a returning starting quarterback, C.J. Bailey. A lot of people, if you're from South Florida, know who he is. And in fact, saw him as a ninth grader. He started all 4 years in high school. Well, people will say, you know, he has an unorthodox delivery, and not a lot of people are on him, but he was a starter as a freshman for NC State. I think he's only going to get better. Forget about his delivery. The guy gets the ball there. He is a player. How many players in high school start for a top 10 high school team 4 straight years? Their offensive line returned 4 starters. They have 2 transfer starters. They return over 150 starts. Guys that started over 150 games on the offensive line. You're not going to see that too often. Their defensive line and linebackers are solid. And they also get their punter and kicker returning. And they were the 53rd best special teams. I think they'll improve on that. So people are talking about KC Concepcion, their top receiver, leaving, but he was hurt on and off the whole year. They have a lot of receiver depth. And I just think that Dave Doran, after a bad year, is a great play-on coach. So you don't want to play him when the expectations are high. He will let you down. But we're going to go here with over 6.5 wins, another hidden gem.
And when you look back at last year, Lee, I mean, it's just simply unimpressive as far as the wins. Western Carolina, Louisiana Tech, Northern Illinois, and then the conference wins, Cal and Stanford, and then they beat UNC in the finale. That just really nothing to get excited about. And they lost to Wake, they lost to Syracuse, they lost to Georgia Tech. That there wasn't, it just seemed like just a very down year for them.
I agree, but Kevin, look at this. They start off with East Carolina. Never anything.
Yeah.
Virginia. I think that their head coach, Elliott's going to get fired. At Wake Forest. At Duke. They could be 4-0 to start the year, maybe even 5 or 6-0 with Virginia Tech and Campbell heading into Notre Dame. And then to finish the year after Notre Dame in a bye, they got Pitt and Georgia Tech, another bye. Those are nothing special teams. Then they got at Miami. Okay, even if they lose that game, they play Florida State at home and North Carolina at home. You can't find 7 wins in that schedule. I can find you 7, maybe 8.
And they avoid SMU and Clemson, so that's big. And you know what, too? We don't know what North Carolina is going to be. Like, we really don't with Belichick. We have no idea. So you don't know how good they can be or not.
I'll let you know tomorrow when I see.
Oh, wow. Do you think it's going to be a circus tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. I was on Radio Row earlier this morning, and I wouldn't say it was dead. But all I see is notes on the table, for the stations in Raleigh, Durham, that whole area, the Triangle. They're all coming in tomorrow. Trust me.
Yeah, so we'll see how it all turns out with North Carolina and NC State as we continue at ACC Media Days. We continue as we will go over our lock of the day. Chris Bassitt. That is coming up. You're listening to Locked On Bets. We continue here on Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. And we have one more baseball play to look at tonight. The Blue Jays and the Yankees continuing their series in Toronto. And it's time now for the lock of the day.
Open it, open it, open it. Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Feels like the Yankees and Blue Jays, Lee, have played like 25 times in the last month just because they had all these series in Toronto. But the Blue Jays won the opener. Yankees won last night. So now big game tonight to wrap up the series. It's going to be a good finish towards the end of the American League East. And Chris Bassitt on the mound for the Blue Jays tonight facing the Yankees. What do you have with him?
So Chris Bassitt owns the Yankees. Faced them on July 3rd. Had 9 strikeouts. In fact, this year, and he's been just a different pitcher when he faces the Yankees. Just gets fired up for it. Back in his career, last 7 starts against the Yankees, 4-1 record, 2.03 ERA with 53 strikeouts. So the Blue Jays just get up for the Yankees, as do a lot of teams, but they're just one of those teams that I don't know. They play with a chip on their shoulder. And Bassitt's obviously that guy. You look at his velocity; it's up over like 1.5 miles per hour on his fastball when he faces him. So I don't think much has changed since July 3rd. The game is also at home. It's not like he has to travel to New York. So let's go all the way up. Level 3 lock. Chris Bassitt on Wednesday, over 5.5 strikeouts against the dreaded, the hated New York Yankees.
And, again, another big game between these teams tonight. We see the Red Sox have kind of fallen off a little bit. They kind of got back in the race for about a minute when they won 10 straight. Now they struggled at Chicago, struggled at Philadelphia. So now it's going to feels like a 2-horse race. Tampa Bay is still there too. But again, I think down the stretch, it'll end up being the Blue Jays and the Yankees when it's all said and done. In this American League League with the Tigers, them stubbing their toe a few times against Pittsburgh, Houston has still played very well. They've won a couple at Arizona there's really no guarantee who's going to come out of this American League right now.
Oh, it's wide open in the American League. Other than the NL, NL is completely different. I mean, the Dodgers are still, the kings up there sitting, waiting to be knocked off. But in the NL, I mean, you got teams left and right. The Mets look good. Milwaukee looks good. The Cubs could be a team for the next 4 or 5 years. They're young and talented pitchers and hitters. So the American League's a little more wide open, and Toronto wants to state their case. If they play the Yankees more often, who knows? They might be in it also.
And quickly, before we wrap up, so you're in Charlotte. Tomorrow, you're going to go check out the American also in their media days. Any sneak peek on who your team is going to be for tomorrow for the show?
Maybe Memphis, a team that tried to buy their way in for $250 million. I don't know where they came up with that money.
Penny Hardaway found somebody who could get that money.
Right, probably. So it's they're a team that seems like every year they're the surprise team. South Florida starting to make some waves recruiting wise. They're under the radar. They play the Mike Cain's the second game of the year. So going to see the circus and Bill Belichick and his girlfriend, and they're just right across the street. So a lot of action going on. We're getting the intel on over 30 teams. I mean, every time I'm in an elevator with one of the key starters for a team. So if you can find out something, something that can make the difference in a certain game, that's what you got to hold on to. And that can make the difference in going from, let's say, 50 to 55, 56, 57%. We're looking, like I said, for the matchups and certain players or coaches. And that's why we're on our way to hopefully another 4th straight winning week.
And before we get out of here, Lee, so tell us what's going on now at Paramount Sports.
Well, we, like I said, been winning every single sport, coming off a 6-1 UFC card. We have another card going up. It'll be up and available probably tomorrow morning, so check that out. We're going for our 9th winning card in the last 10 cards. Not a lot of people can make that claim, and it's documented. Baseball, 10 days, $50, 10 days of selections. We text those out to you. Also, you want to get 10 days of player props, $50, or get a combo pack, just $77. And when we wake up tomorrow, we'll be 1 week away from football. The entire season on our phone service, just $1,997. One place, ParamountSports.com.
And you can also check out our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets. Don't forget to like and subscribe to that channel. We appreciate your support, and also the podcast as well. You can find it on your favorite audio platform to download it. And we've appreciated the response so far going through the summer, the reboot of the show, and all that's coming up is just football. That will be coming up in the fall, so looking forward to that. So getting some nice momentum here on the show, which we enjoy. And also you can find us on X. You can find Lee at Paramount Sports, myself at Rogers Picks. And we'll be back with you coming up tomorrow for another edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.